I'm going to stop sleeping. It interferes with everything. Between trying to just do my normal household stuff, trying to make YouTube videos, trying to do Uber for lunch and dinner, picking up the grandkids. I'm running out of time. The only time I have available is, that time I waste laying in the bed at night from midnight till 5:30 in the morning.
I wake up in the morning with a smile on my face, feeling thankful for the love and the happiness we chase. Sun is shining brightly, sky so blue and clear. With every
I guess gas went up a little bit. Okay, well, 2 orders in 2 hours. Not exactly what I was hoping for, but, better than nothing. At least they were both shopping orders, so I think one was 12 and one was 9. I actually talked to my brother today on the phone because, I tell you guys that we mainly stay in touch through Instagram. We send each other very inappropriate memes, make each other laugh, basically let each other know we're alive. But he's like me, he's a busy guy, but we like to touch base. We live in the same city. We live 6 miles apart, and we see each other a couple times a year. It's terrible. But we're going to get together. We're going to have lunch next week. And yeah, he's in the same boat I am. He's a blue-collar worker, raised the same way I was. We weren't taught about investing or any of that stuff. We just were taught to go to work, make money, and that's what we did. And luckily, he's pretty wise. He bought a fixer-upper, and he's been working on it, and he could flip it if he wanted to, and he'll make a nice little nest egg off of that. But or he could just pay it off, which is probably what he's going to do, and then just live there, because like me, he's only going to have Social Security. But he's a hard worker. He's in construction, so he's worked physical hard labor all his life, and it catches up to you. He didn't have a soft, cushy job, and he's up and down ladders all day and hanging drywall, and even though it's kept him fit physically, it takes a toll on your joints. His knees hurt. He said all his joints hurt, actually. He's got arthritis now. But he was never like a druggie or a drinker or anything like that, thank God. So health-wise, he's okay. But he does have to take blood pressure meds. Like I said, all my siblings, they got that from my mom. I didn't get that. I'm fortunate. But she had to take blood pressure meds and cholesterol meds and stuff. And even though he's not overweight or anything, he still has always had issues with his blood pressure. But he's like me. He's a high anxiety. He's got that nervous energy. We got that from our mom for sure. But sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I like having energy. I like having, even though it's nervous energy, and I'm all over the place. I'd rather be like that than not have any energy, right? I think it's harder on the people around us than it is us. We're used to having that nervous energy, but people around us, I think it can stress other people out. Because you got to be doing something. I can't just sit. I can't sit and visit with people like normal people when we have company. I can only sit there for a few minutes, and then I got to get up and do stuff. I'm not as bad as my mom. She was a little tornado, but she got stuff done. She was always busy. I wished I had as much energy as her, but it's, you know, that high anxiety. And my mom was, you know, she was the same way, but she tried to take meds for it, and she's real sensitive like I am, and she took them a couple times and she didn't like the way they made her feel, or they'd knock her out, so she took like a half a pill and it still didn't work. You know, and I know how that is. I've gone through that too. Okay, so it wasn't one of my better nights, but something's better than nothing. And if I hadn't gone out, I would have made nothing. So, what did I make? I won't even know yet until, you know, I get paid. I get that Prop 22 money, and it always averages out. It makes it so that I at least, at the minimum, I get minimum wage for the time that I'm out there. So, yeah. So if I'm out there for 3 hours, I'll get 48 bucks, almost 50. And like I said, that's my goal, is between 50 and 75. If I can do that and only have to work 4 to 5 nights a week, I'm doing pretty good. You know, because I am 63. I don't want to work full time at this point. The only reason I would have to work full time is if I was only making minimum wage. But if I can make more than minimum wage, which between, you know, Uber and YouTube, I'm doing that. So, you know, and that way I'm semi-retired. Well, hey, Mr. Fox. Oh, of course the light goes off. Doggone it. Watch, he'll be gone when I turn it back on. Yep. Oh, well, he grabbed a big old steak bone. Where'd he go, Jazz? Which way did he go, buddy? Do you see him? Is he under the table? Okay, something I think I'm going to do. I seen somebody else do this, and I thought it was kind of a cute idea. They add a little story sometimes at the end of their videos. They share different things from their life. And I've got a few stories I could share. But this one story this happened about 30 years ago. We were at the beach, and I was sitting on a towel, just, you know, playing with the sand. And the next thing I knew, I had picked up a ring. And it was a beautiful ring. It was an antique ring with a ruby in it and some diamonds. And it was beautiful. And I just thought, wow, that's cool. Just found a ring, you know. And so, yeah, I took it home. And I'd had it for a couple years. And one day, my stepfather and I were driving around. He did insurance work, and I used to work with him. I'd go with him. And we're driving around, and he always listened to talk radio. And we're listening to this one show, and they had this psychic on. This lady, she was a psychic, and she was, you know, she was in her 50s, and she was from the Midwest or whatever. And she was telling a story about how she had come out here on vacation one time, and she was at the beach, and she had lost her grandmother's ring, and it was the beach that I was at. And the thing is, with this ring, when she was a little girl, her grandmother had passed away. Her grandmother had lived with them, and she passed away suddenly. And she was sad because she didn't have any memorabilia. She didn't have anything to remember her grandmother by. And she said one night while she was sleeping, at least she thinks she was sleeping, her grandmother had come to her at the foot of the bed, and she told her about this ring and where it was. So the next day when she got up, she went to where her grandmother told her the ring was, and it was there. So she took that, you know, that was meant for her. And that was the beginning of knowing she was a psychic, that she could talk to, you know, people that had passed on or whatever. And so then, you know, here she had that ring she was a little girl when her grandmother passed away, and she was in her 50s when she had come out to California and lost the ring. And yeah, she was really sad about it. And then, you know, she was on this talk show and telling about it. Well, this was before we had cell phones. So we would have had to pull over, find a payphone, figure out where this talk show was coming from, because it wasn't like a local show. It could have been coming out of New York or whatever. I don't even recall. So, and it didn't occur to me to call in, I'll be honest with you, because I wasn't even 100% sure at that time it was the ring until I went home and I dug it out and I thought, okay, that's the ring. And anyway, so I kept it, and I felt guilty about it, but my stepdad, he was like, well, she's a psychic, she should have known you had it. That's the way he was. But so yeah, I felt so guilty about having that ring and not trying to find her that I never wore it. It sits in my jewelry box. I feel like it has bad juju. I won't wear it. But it's like, it's obviously it was her ring. It was the same beach. I found it, where she lost it. She described it perfectly. And, that ring's got to be 100 years old. I don't even know what to do with it. It's like, I can't wear it. What would you do? Maybe I should give it to one of my granddaughters or something. But, yeah, I just thought that was so bizarre, to find that ring. And then years later to be listening to the person that actually lost the ring describe it to a T. But, if we had had cell phones, I would have been able to call in right away, find out, and give it back to her. But she's probably passed, because like I said, I remember she said in the interview she was like 57 or something, and this was 20 something years ago. Well, she could still be alive, 77 maybe. So I don't know. Like I said, what would you do? I don't know what I should do. Just feel guilty. That's my story. I've got better stories. I don't know why that one came to mind. I don't know.